Things have been looking bleak in the Phillies world, dropping 8 of their previous 10 series before the Marlins, and then one man had something different in mind. With a grand slam from Kyle Schwarber, which drastically changed the vibes of this Phillies team, it does feel like, ladies and gentlemen, we have a chance at being back. Me and Luke Arcaini are going to break down what went down last night in the Phillies world, why that was such a meteoric home run for this Phillies team, and really the biggest must-win game that I can remember for a team that is as good as this Phillies team has been throughout the season. But before we dive into all of that, I do want to remind you guys to make sure you're smashing that subscribe button. 92.5% of you guys tuning into the videos have not subscribed to the channel just yet. We got plenty more to break down in the Phillies world, hopefully getting back on track as they did find a way to get that win last night, and one that, like I mentioned, do think meant a little more. So, Luke, I want to set the stage for you. I do know you were in the building last night. It did feel like a dead time. Now, we're talking about them falling behind basically immediately after that game starting. Tyler Phillips not looking like he has it on the mound. It looking like another night heading to disaster, and then Kyle Schwarber had something different to say about it. So fill me in. How was it in the building? What were your thoughts when that grand slam went down?
Yeah, it was fun. We were up really high for like a work thing, and there was a bunch of us up there, and we're just sitting up there first inning, and we're like, dude, this is actually like Sean. If they would have lost that game last night at rock bottom, I would have been on here screaming today. But they didn't. You could just like it was dead, and honestly, I haven't gotten out to a ton of games this year, at least as many as I'd want. The last one I went to was really when they were in that just absolute hot streak of beating any single team by 8 runs in front of them.
That was awesome.
And I mean, just absolute night and day from then until what it felt like the first 3 innings of that game last night.
Yeah.
I mean, you were getting cheers when Edmundo Sosa grounded into a double play for that RBI or whoever did it early in the game. Like, them scoring 1 run in the second off of a ground out was like yippee at that point. Like, it was bad. And I will say, I'm not going to say I saved the Phillies season, but I might have saved the Phillies season. I got up at the midway point through the fourth, about like midway through the top of the fourth. We were still pitching. Tyler Phillips was still allowing more runs. Moved to a completely different section from the first baseline all the way out to left field, right under Harry the K's.
Nice.
I had some buddies out there. I get there, walk, single, walk. Kyle Schwarber steps up, grand slam.
Let's
I
go.
looked at all my buddies. I said, we can't go back up there for the rest of the night. We stayed in left field. Everything was good. And honestly, God, man, after that, it was a freaking party. Everybody hits. Castellanos with that just absolutely hilarious slide into second base. That was like, fans were so happy that in the moment, like if that would have happened any other time, there would have been boos after that. People were cheering when that happened. Like, that's how epic that inning was last night. Listen, I don't want to say, like, obviously it's hard to say they're back after one game against the Marlins. But, like, a swing like that is something that really can, like, completely flip a season around. And, I mean, at that point, like, you really just have to hope that's what it is. Because, I mean, after that swing, everything looked back last night. Like, after that, Alec Boehm once again, just ripping gappers. Brandon Marsh, multi-hit night. JT Realmuto, multi-hit night. Bryson Stott, multi-hit night. Bullpen, unbelievable last night. Jose Ruiz came in the 5th inning and looked awesome last night. He hasn't allowed an earned run since the All-Star game. Been unreal. Matt Strahm looked really good last night. Jeff Hoffman, back-to-back strikeouts, right? Alvarado always loves to make it a little interesting,
Sure.
but he still got out of it. Carlos Estevez likes to make it a little interesting. And my favorite part of the night was from 2 relievers, Jose Ruiz and Estevez. They both let out this little fist pump after their innings, and like something about that just felt like it just felt like the first 3 months of the season again. So. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, they're back. They're winning the World Series, which I still think they're going to get there. But I just think a night like that and a moment like that, it's crazy because I don't think this can happen in any other sport. but I think something like that just can completely flip around a season.
Yeah, totally agree there. And the floodgates absolutely open the second that grand
That
slam
was the
happened.
best part is that's what was happening the first 3 months of the season,
Yep.
right? Is once somebody goes, everybody goes. And the last week, every time you thought somebody was back, it would be home run, strikeout, ground into a double play with runners in scoring position, 4 pop-ups, 19 more strikeouts. And last night it was hit, double, RBI. Like everything was working after that.
Yeah. And that is the strange thing about this Phillies team that I get like it's weird. I can't fully like correlate it, but there is a connectivity between this roster that when one guy's hitting, they're all hitting. When one guy's not, they're all not. And it's frustrating. That's why it leads to some of the down periods like we just lived through. But I do hope these are the tides turning for this Phillies team. And we caught up with Kyle Schwarber after the game. Got a couple quotes that I did want to bring up. And this full article from NBC Philly here writing that trying to fight their way out of a rut, the Phillies got a needed win a night after they suffered a 4-hit shutout loss to one of the worst teams in baseball. Once the winningest team in baseball, the Phillies needed Schwarber's go-ahead slam to help snap a 4-game losing streak, and they won. As they won just for the 8th time in 24 games since the All-Star break. Quote, I think it was just more the energy, Schwarber said. You could feel it in the stadium. I feel like that was a cool thing. I feel like our guys are doing a really good job of weathering whatever's happening the last couple weeks where we haven't been playing our best baseball. Hours after Rob Thomson hinted that a team meeting could be on deck, the Phillies delayed that opening of the clubhouse to reporters by 70 minutes ahead of the game. Thompson's demurred when asked about the meeting, saying that, quote, what happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse. Now, we did get this report coming out from, I believe, Scott Lauber here, saying that a source told him that the Phillies did hold a meeting before batting practice. And I also just want to note kind of the importance of Kyle Schwarber. We'll reflect on this a little bit deeper in a second. But just the record when he hits a home run this year, 22-3 is absurd stuff there. So before we get back to kind of the bigger Schwarber conversation, I do want to ask a little bit about just these team meeting concepts. Do you think this matters, Luke? Do you think this is overblown? I've starting to get to the point where I was getting a little bit critical of Topper for not acting like it all, but I get that that's kind of what he's known for, is he is a stick it out, ride the ship guy. So what's your mentality on all this and weathering the storm?
Yeah, no, I don't think a few things. One, I don't think it's anybody's business other than people that are with the Phillies on what happened last night in the clubhouse.
Sure.
I think it's fine for them to tell us that they had some sort of a meeting, but I don't think it's any of our business to really know what happened. That's where I think those sort of player meetings are the best, because I guarantee you they said a lot of things in there that they don't want to come out to the media, and that's the reason why they have these closed door meetings.
Sure.
Right? It's not many. There's not many times where players are at the stadium and coaches are there and they get a time together with no fans looking at them, no media looking at them, no TV cameras looking at them, right? They don't get many closed door opportunities when you're at the field. So I think having one of those, I think was big. I don't think anyone's in there screaming. Like no one's in there screaming. Bryce Harper's not in there slamming bats into his locker.
Thomson, certainly not.
Thompson's certainly not. But I think that I've always agreed with how Topper is. And listen, I think there's a fine line between being calm and being very passive, and I don't think Topper is that. We've seen him get mad a few times now this season. We've seen him get tossed. We've seen him go at it with umpires. I think stuff like that matters, but I also think him being calm can also really help a team out. If your manager is stressed, you're going to be stressed, right? Like you go with your manager, you go with the leaders on your team. Like if Kyle Schwarber's coming in every night being like, guys, we got to win tonight. Like if we don't win, it's done. Like nobody wants to hear that, right? So I think it's big. Like I think just sit down. And I heard somebody say it last night. Like last night was a perfect night to win a ball game, go into the locker room and just crush some beers after the game. Like that's like kind of the mindset where I think they need to be at. Like right now, it's just like, just go out and have fun. Like tonight, just go out and swing the bat, right? Go put up 9 runs again. Like keep it going. Turn this thing into a win streak. Turn this into a series sweep. Turn this into 8 out of your last 9. Because even now, after all that, they're 20 games over 500. I believe they're 7 games up in the division still. Like they're still just there's so much room there. Like they're still so good. Like they have so much time still too. And it's just like everything's fine. But last night was just so big. I think from sort of just finally weathering the storm a little bit and really having that meeting. I didn't really think a meeting was incredibly necessary before 2 nights ago. After that Marlins game, I was absolutely like shut and lock those doors for an hour and just let the guys get it out, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if you're able to just talk it out, and I think and honestly, I think if I had to guess, right, if I had to guess what they're saying in there, it's just like, one, we're playing so tense. Like, this isn't who we are. Every single person in that locker room knows that the team that they are was the team that we saw the first 3 months. Maybe not to that elite of an extent, because they were on pace to win 126 games at one point. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just remembering who they know they are. And I think it's great when they can have that conversation with no cameras, no TV, no media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of good stuff. The last point that I did want to hit on, I mean, for starters, I think Kyle Schwarber has cemented as the most important member of this Phillies team, just as a tone setter for this roster, above Bryce Harper, who I considered that for quite some time in this era. It is Schwarber, and I love that about him. Cannot wait to see how the rest of the season goes. But there was
real quick on the Schwarber thing.
Yeah.
I almost knew, because I've seen so many things, that there's, for so many years, every team that Schwarber's gone to was leader. Always, right? I almost feel like I knew it from his first day here. He came out 2022 opening day against the Athletics and just crushed one dead center. Like, crushed it dead center. And I'll always say, I will always think about this, is both years that the Phillies went to the NLCS, game 1, 2 just absolute nukes to set the tone.
Yeah.
Just a tone setter. And a guy that one, I would want leading my lineup, obviously in the front, but two, just really leading the team. Because I've said this before, Bryce Harper is the best baseball player on this team, but Kyle Schwarber is absolutely the engine of this team.
100%. And the last point that I did want to hit on, there was one noticeable name absent from the lineup last night. No Trey Turner in action for this Phillies team. Rob Thomson took it on the chest, said this was nothing but a rest day, which honestly I would have preferred if he didn't. I would have loved to say, like, we're giving him a quick benching, letting him, figure things out. You don't got to be obnoxious about it, but I wouldn't have minded that being the message there. Do you think this is no deal, little deal, big deal? What are your thoughts on Turner not being in the lineup, Luke?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's a half rest day, half bench.
Yeah.
I mean, Turner's probably been the worst hitter on the team since the All-Star break. Just
not giving him a run for his money.
Just been in a big rut. Yeah, there's a few guys that have been given. Trust me. Over half of the roster has been giving him a run for his money since the All-Star game. But yeah, I think it's just one of those kind of half night off, half bench type of thing. I mean, he is in there tonight. So I don't really think it was anything major. But I will say this. I did agree. Rob Thomson threw him right back in the 2-hole. I do agree with that. I think get him back in there. I think Turner knows the lineup's hot. Get him back used to the 2-hole. Because, I mean, listen, that's where he's going to be in October, right? Yeah. Like, it's going to be Schwarber, Turner, Harper, right? And keep going out, get it back going. But I do love that Thomson finally eased off of this left-hander hitting fifth thing. Nick Castellanos is in the 5-hole tonight, which I do like a lot. A guy who I believe leads the team or is second on the team in RBIs since the All-Star break. He's been just ton of RBIs, ton of hits. A very good one to have behind guys like Harper and Alec Boehm right now.
Yeah, 100% there. So hopefully the tides are finally turning within this Phillies team. Last night
need to win tonight.
Yeah, they need it. Let's keep everything rolling with this team, keep the momentum growing. And as far as you guys, once again, make sure you guys are smashing that subscribe button to stay along every bit of the ride. Hopefully nothing but up and good vibes from here. So want the family as big as possible right here on Phillies Digest. So smash that button, drop a like on this video, drop your comments below, and me and Luke will be talking to you next time. Peace.